DNS Server in Windows 10. When you take the internet connection for home or business, the Internet Service Provider provides the domain name system, DNS, address, which helps access any sites. Usually, DNS servers work slowly at an unreliable time. To improve your internet, you can use third-party companies who have experience with Windows 10. What is DNS? DNS means Domain Name System. It's a friendly domain name in the web browser. However, it also helps to load the web page. Without DNS, it's a nightmare to use the internet. The DNS is the phone book of the internet and human access through domain names online. The main work of DNS, it translates the domain name to the IP address so that the browser can load internet assets. Every device connects with the internet at a unique IP address. This server element has a human IP address like 192.65.168.11 or a more complex number. If you can type the themeshaper.net, you get our website. In the back end, the program sends the solicitation to the DNS server to determine the site through the IP address. However, when the address is found, the browser connects to the site. Generally, most people don't know how it works because it works in a nanosecond. If you want a faster internet and more private servers, you can use the new server. Windows 10 allows the changes. How does DNS work? The domain name system process involves converting the hosting name like www.themeshaper.net to your computer with a friendly IP address. The importance of the IP address is given to each device on the internet. An IP address is necessary to find out the internet device. Through this address, you get lots of information like which roads and home. When connecting on the internet, loading the web page, a user must have happened between user and web browser. According to the process, the DNS resolutions have to know the difference between the hardware components and a DNS query. Before you start, one thing to remember is that you have to know beforehand how to change DNS. In changing time, you have to ensure to write down the current server address. For backup purposes, please keep the number because it can be reverted. In suggestions, print out a copy if you face the problem to solve it before doing it. In Control pane changes Windows 10 DNS settings. In the Windows 10, you can use Control panel to edit the DNS address. On Windows 10, how to change the DNS settings in using the Control panel. Follow these steps to modify. Firstly, you have to be on the Control panel. Select the Network and Internet. Then have to click on Network and Sharing Center. You will get the Change Adapter Settings option in the left pane. Right-click the network interface. Connect Windows 10 to the Internet and select the Properties option. You have to check the Internet Protocol version 4, TCP or IP4, option. Select on the Properties, have to use the following DNS server to address options. At the point when you select the choice to determine the DNS settings physically, the Gadget will keep on getting the TCP IP address from the DHCP server, switch. You have to type preferred and alternate in DNS addresses. Click on the Advanced button. Click the DNS tab plus Add button. Click on the Alternate DNS Server Address and Add button. In addition to adding more addresses, you can also edit and remove resolvers from this tab. You have to click the OK button and then press the Close button. After completing the steps, the device will immediately start using the DNS settings. Using the settings to change DNS settings. Open the settings options. Click on Network and Internet, then you have to select the connection that connects Windows 10 to the network. Edit the IP settings and drop-down menu to choose the manual option. Turn on the IP4 toggle. Confirm your preferred DNS, then have to alternate DNS addresses. Then the last option that's you have to press the Save button. After completing the steps, you should connect to the Internet and use the new resolvers. Using the command prompt to change DNS settings. This is another way. In order to use the command prompt to change the DNS settings, use these steps. At first, open the Start. You must search in command prompt and right-click the top result. Select the Run as Administrator option. changing the networking settings and press Enter. According to the following command type to identify the names, you have to select the Set the primary DNS IP address. Press Enter options. In this interface, you have to put the IP DNS name. Difference between authoritative and recursive DNS resolver. Those are integral to the DNS infrastructure. They play a different role in different locations inside a DNS query. Easily to understand recursive resolver is beginning, and the authoritative nameserver is at the end of the DNS query. Recursive DNS resolver. Recursive resolver responds to a recursive request from a client to the computer, and it's time to track the DNS record. Moreover, it requests until it reaches the authoritative DNS nameserver. Authoritative DNS server. An authoritative DNS server is held and responsible for DNS resource records. However, it allows the web browser to send the request to reach the IP address it needed to get access to a website or other web resources. This server can satisfy his data. Even it is the final source of actual DNS records. 5 steps in a DNS lookup. If the user types example.com into a web, browses the internet, and a DNS recursive resolver receives the information, then queries a DNS nameserver, the root server then responds to the resolver. While looking for example.com, our solicitation is highlighted the com.tld. The resolver then requests the com.tld. At the final step, the resolver sends a query to the domain's nameserver. Large numbers of DNS server addresses have to keep the protected US, and it saves from the hackers. Simple changes can safeguard terabytes of data to violate your computer. Without fear, it also helps a responsible person to use the internet. DNS servers protect virtual privacy.